right, tell Mr. Ritter to stay. Frank coming? No, is he coming at all?
No.
Then in that case.
Yeah, you could actually move over. If you, well, I don't know, you have to move your nameplate, so.
That's okay. I'll just talk loud.
Okay. I got 5:30. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the June 16th meeting of the Temple Terrace Community Redevelopment Agency. Call the meeting to order. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting on February 18th. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes?
Move to approve.
I move to approve.
Well, we have a motion by Councilman Schistler. You want a second, Ms.? We have a second by Councilwoman Donahue. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed? No nays. The minutes are approved. The next item of business is a resolution approving an amendment to the fiscal year 2019-2020 annual budget. Mr. Stevenson, did you want to comment, or Ms. Boswell? Finance Director Boswell will introduce the item. You have the floor, ma'am.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the Community Redevelopment Agency. Staff recommends that the board adopt the attached resolution approving an amendment to the annual budget for the Temple Terrace Community Redevelopment Agency for this fiscal year 2019-2020. Our budget received more revenue than anticipated, which would throw us over the approved appropriation by $6,672, and this just is an okay to say, yes, we got more money, and therefore we do approve keeping all of that.
Okay. Ms. Boswell, where did we gain the extra money? Was that from unanticipated tax revenue, or?
With Hillsborough County, it was supposed to be $398,000. I put $390, and then with the Tampa Port Authority, I never know where their mills are going to lay. Usually it's lower, and therefore we don't usually have to come back before you because we're getting a little bit less.
Okay, makes good sense. Council members or redevelopment agency members, any questions? Mr. Schuster, you have the floor.
The Port Authority, what parcels is that on? Something down by the river, or?
It's an agreement that we have with them in relations to the community development, and it has to do with the area of Hillsborough River, was my understanding.
Okay,
So that's been a
down by the
long,
river. Okay.
it's been a long time coming.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions, agency members? Okay, if not, it'd be a good time for a motion if we have one.
Move to approve the resolution. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No nays. The resolution is adopted. Next item of business is Business Relations Manager will present a status update on the city's CRA. Mr. Pauly, you have the floor.
Good evening, Chairman and board members. Greg Pauly, Business Relations Manager for the city. I'm going to go through a quick review of current projects, and then I'm also scheduled to speak to you on the following item, and I want to hopefully have a little bit more discussion on that following item. Okay, we have it up on the screen. You'll note that this meeting that we're having tonight was previously scheduled on May 19th. This is the reschedule for that. It was previously not held for COVID lockdown. The next meeting on our required quarterly meetings is currently set for August 18th. Whoops, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. This is a quick snapshot. You'll notice the right column there does indicate the increased revenue that Ms. Boswell just spoke of. The first project I'd like to speak on tonight is the Waverly Terrace luxury apartment home project. This project sits on 4.85 acres, located at 8901 Bertha Palmer Boulevard. The project consists of 200 luxury rental units and company amenities. The ground break, as you recall, was February 26th. Construction schedule set for 18 months. I met with the project manager just a few days back, and he is on schedule to meet this schedule. His target date for completion is September of 2021. I know everyone's seen this before, but I just thought I'd put it up there if we had any new viewers. These photos were taken last Friday, and they're already outdated. That project is moving very quickly. This is the north side parking lot looking back to the northeast. North side parking lot looking to the southeast. That pop out there in the foreground is the foundation for the clubhouse. I understand now that the clubhouse is going up in framing. So they are moving quicker than I can even get photos updated. The next project is the corner commercial piece at 3.5 acres, southeast corner of Bullard and North 56th Street. This is a project that consists of 5 freestanding commercial buildings. The site plan has been previously submitted and approved. Infrastructure and service development plans are currently pending, and construction plans have been submitted and are currently under review by our building official. That's the rendering from the intersection looking back to the southeast. That is the elevations for the Chase Bank, which sits just south of the corner tower feature. So my understanding, Mr. Anisi is very near issuing construction permits for this particular building. So I think you'll probably see this one take off first. And I also understand that the Starbucks building, which is located at the opposite end of the plaza, down by B Street, will be the second building that's going to be permitted. The next project I'd like to speak on is Enigma Realtors. This is the project you'll recall is a redevelopment of a pre-existing structure located at 8633 North 56th Street. It's an old auto service and retail, discount retailer. Also the previous home of the post office annex building. It's going to be reconverted into 34,000 square feet of boutique retail space. Site plan has been submitted and reviewed. Staff has gone through that and submitted comments back to the developer. We're currently awaiting a response from the developer on the site plan updates. The initial architecture and structural plans were forwarded for city's reference. However, the final plans are still pending. That is a rendering, elevation rendering out of the site plans that were submitted just, I believe it was Friday. Next project is the Terrace Storage Center. This project has been constructed at the previous bowling alley located at 5313 East Bush Boulevard. It's a climate-controlled public storage facility. Phase 1 is complete as of last month and is operational. Phases 2 and 3 will include additional storage space, retail, and office space. That's a current photo of what the structure looks like today. The next project is the O'Reilly Auto Parts. This is the redevelopment of a pre-existing restaurant structure located at 5299 East Bush Boulevard. The initial site plan has been submitted, surface development and infrastructure plans have been submitted and under review at this time. And just recently, Mr. Anisi did issue a demolition permit to remove the old structure and make way for the new development. There you'll see the rendering, and in the foreground pop-out, you'll see what the current structure looks like. Next up is the reopening of a business located at 5315 East Bush Boulevard. You'll recall that this was formerly a Salem's counter service restaurant. It's been reopened as a Fresh and Fun. It is a similar format as the previous business, however, it's reopened under new brand. And it got a fresh coat of paint. Next project is the Tampa Mall, formerly referred to as the old Kmart building. This building has been repurposed. It's located at 5400 East Bush Boulevard, and it's been repurposed into an indoor marketplace. The tenant, Tampa Mall, relocated to Temple Terrace from North Tampa. The grand opening for that facility was May 30th. I spoke to the business owner yesterday, and he is very pleased with the support he's received from the community. He's actually exceeded his expectations for his first couple of weeks. The next item here is a residential duplex project. Has nothing to do with the commercial area, but it is in our CRA. It's located at 9237 Overlook Drive. You've heard me report on this previously. It's a relatively small project. They're adding a duplex to the property. Permits have been issued and construction is underway. A quick word on some of the parcels that we still have in our inventory available for purchase. 1.69 acres is located at 8901 North 56th Street. It is currently still available for purchase. However, our broker has received interest on this property and is currently working with a prospective buyer to secure an acceptable offer. And again, that's the grass flat parcel right out in front of, just forward and north of Winn-Dixie. Next parcel is located at 8447 North 56th Street, also still available for purchase. Sits on 1.74 acres. City's received interest in this parcel as well, and a portion of the adjoining parcel immediately to the east, behind this parcel. City's broker continues to work with a prospective buyer to secure an acceptable offer. You may recall that's the old restaurant building. And the last parcel I'll discuss under this item is slightly greater than 4 acres, located at 205 South River Hills Drive. It's adjacent to the Hillsborough River. The city's broker has received interest in this parcel. However, the proposed use requires further consideration by this board and direction on moving forward. And I'm going to stop on that right now because we actually have that discussion scheduled as the next item. That's the curb view. And I'll pause for questions on any of those items. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a demolition date for the Burger King?
Did you hear the question, sir?
Not yet,
Okay.
sorry. But as soon as we issue the permit for new Chase Bank, that building has to come down.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's what made me think about it. I was like, oh, okay, you know,
Yes,
if we're gonna
yes.
build one, you gotta take
I
one
mean,
down.
I'm expecting by next Friday, we should be able to issue permit for Chase Bank.
Okay.
I have a question regarding that same parcel, Mr. Pauly. Is it the developer's intent to build each one building at a time? I guess I never asked, but I assumed that all 5 buildings would come up at the same time.
It was originally submitted as a phase project. If you picture it in your mind, there is a east-west cut that we refer to in-house as A Street. It's not actually a street, it's just a curb cut. The original proposal spoke of everything north of that cut as phase 1 and everything south of that cut as phase 2. Now, that was the original proposal. We currently have 2 vendors that are ready to move. One obviously being Chase Bank up on the north cut, and the other being Starbucks over on the south cut. So to say that they're going to stick to their original proposal, I don't anticipate that. As I mentioned, and I think Mr. Anisi can confirm, they are ready to, or at least our city staff is ready to start issuing those permits for those 2 buildings.
Okay, thank you. Other questions, agency member? Okay, thank you. You want to move to the next item, Mr. Pauly?
Thank you, sir. Next item is further discussion on those Riverside parcels that I just mentioned a moment ago. This is 2C on your agenda. Again, that is the curbside view, or the curb view, I should say. This is located at 205 South River Hills Drive. There's an aerial view. Pretty much the whole center section there consists of the 4.17 acres that we're talking about. Some time ago, it's been upwards of 2 years now, we did receive direction on what the desires were to market this particular piece of property, looking for the highest and best use. Based on that, the property has been marketed for development of commercial projects or possibly owner-occupied residential projects. Our broker, Mr. Patrick Berman at Cushman & Wakefield, he currently holds 2 letters of interest from 2 separate developers, both of which desire to build a project that is not what this board has previously directed. I'm here tonight only to share that with you and to seek your input on how you would like staff to proceed moving forward. If this board would like staff to continue the course, we will share that with our broker. If you would like to consider other options, then obviously we can share that as well. I'm not at liberty to discuss much detail about the proposals because it's not fair. They haven't presented a full proposal as of yet, and obviously they're not here. But I just want to let you know that there are 2 builders out there that are interested in that piece of property, both of which desire to build tenant-occupied multifamily housing. And to ensure staff responds to these inquiries in a manner consistent with your wishes, we are now here to seek input on proposed use, future use of this land. And with that, I will defer to the board members.
So, just to be clear, tenant-occupied multifamily housing is the same thing as apartments, isn't it?
Yes, sir,
Okay, all right.
rental apartments.
Okay, I thought so, but,
Yes.
okay. Board members, what's your pleasure?
Well, as the representative of the Affordable Housing Board, I'm obviously, you're not talking about low-income housing, you're just talking about housing, rental housing. So I want to get that settled, because that's always, somebody's always going to say, oh, here we go. But, you know, when you look at what it takes to rent a house now, you'd be amazed at how much it takes the other day, the report that we got was that it takes roughly $27, somebody making $27 an hour to rent a modest apartment. There aren't very many $27 an hour jobs out there right now. So I'm interested in you pursuing this. I have to say, is there any reason why something like this couldn't be at least hinted to us before we get here to make a decision on how we want to move forward? I know we're not saying, yes, we'll take the bids and all that, but so really what you want to know tonight is, are we willing to abandon single-family homes or commercial for multi-purpose housing? Well, not multifamily.
I can tell you based on prior direction, prior discussion, and also previous interest, we have chosen, at the direction of both our broker, who's very familiar with the parcel in question, as well as Mr. Stevenson and myself, we've received what you would consider lowball offers, and you've heard nothing of those because they did not appear to be viable offers. Mm-hmm. The 2 developers that have expressed interest now are, and again, I don't want to say anything that's going to unfairly leverage one or the other right now because they're not here and they haven't submitted formal proposals. But I can share with you that they are in the range of, they are within 85 to 90% of what we would consider fair market for the property. And that is something that we have discussed, Mr. Stevenson and myself has discussed, and that's not a call for us to make, that would be a call for you to make. This has more to do with the intent and the ability of the developers to build that product than it does whether or not I recommend that product. I'm simply sharing with you that we do have interest out there, and we want to either reaffirm the board's direction from previously or receive new direction from this board.
Mr. Chambers, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you for bringing that to us. I'm not willing at this time to change the direction of this board. You know, the citizens were very clear on condos. Not 100% for commercial, but that, I know that's been approved. But I'm not willing to change course at this time.
Understood, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Schister, you have the floor.
I would tend to, thank you, I would tend to agree with that at this point. However, we could go on like that into perpetuity. And eventually, it's within our, it's within our best interest to move the property. So I would say that if the city or the CRA is not successful in a given period of time, and I don't know how long that period of time is, to find a buyer that would build the type of project that we had envisioned for that area, then it might be incumbent upon us to be good stewards and reevaluate what that is. I'm not sure whether that's 6 months or a year or what, but I don't remember. What was the proposed or assumed fair market value for that parcel?
The parcel is currently marketed at 2.9 million.
2.9 million. And everybody was coming in about 85, 90% of that.
The two developers that have
Yeah,
expressed
okay,
interest.
all right, okay.
The two that I'm here to share with you tonight.
Understood. I understand.
As I mentioned, there have been
There were
lowball,
others. I remember
there
was-
have been
there was-
offers that were
There was an old folks home and all kinds of
were
stuff.
very small.
Yeah. Anyway, I would be amenable to saying, okay, let's see what we can do in the next 6, 9, 10, 12 months. And then reevaluate where we need to be, because we could hang on to that forever. In which case, and if that's the case, and we turn into a park, turn into something that's usable. Right now, it's just something that we got to cut the grass on every once in a while. So that would be that's my general feeling at this point.
Understood, sir.
I agree with Mr. Chambers. I say no.
Understood, sir.
No doesn't mean no forever. I mean, we'll see what happens, but we have some traction down there. We're building stuff.
Yes, sir, we do.
And I think once the rest of that stuff is built out and we become the community that we all envision it becoming down there, the hub, that property will move. And if it doesn't, and we're having this same conversation in the future, and then we'll have it in the future. But I don't think now, I'm not willing to, I agree with Mr. Chambers. We've heard loud and clear from the community, and I don't see any reason to change course at this point.
Understood, sir.
I have a question.
Mrs. Donahue, you have the floor.
So if tonight we say, we obviously are divided here. So you'll go back to these two and say, we're not willing to entertain the proposal, or could you bring us what they have at some point and say, are you interested? I mean, I guess that's what you're actually asking us, to make a decision
In the interest
tonight.
of full transparency,
Yeah.
I do not negotiate directly with them.
I know.
Mr. Berman handles all of that.
Right.
I'm simply asking for generalized discussion. I don't need a formal official act, but I
Yeah.
need generalized discussion on a consensus as to what I should be sharing with Mr. Berman. I speak with Mr. Berman several times a week, and he's expecting a phone call
Yeah.
from me tomorrow.
Right.
And of course, he will then move forward with what he does.
Yeah. Well, because there was quite a bit of comment about the apartments that are going up now, and then there turns out to be, it's a good thing. It's a good thing for us, because with that also brings, but I understand the hesitation to change, like you say, as we have momentum going right now. So basically, after tonight, so you will tell him that those two offers need not continue, because you have 2 and 2. So,
He is already aware of the previous instruction. I don't believe he's anticipating any necessarily difference in that. What's happening here tonight was your staff's effort to be as open and transparent as we can.
I appreciate that.
It's not, I don't want to be the one, and I don't want to hang this on my boss's hat, to make a multi-million-dollar decision that does not support this board's desire.
Yeah, well, and you have to
That's
keep,
why we're here tonight.
the trust of the agency is important, so I agree. Okay.
Mr. Stevenson, you had something to interject?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it's just a matter of clarification here. You know, we've gotten these two offers here within the last 2 months, 3 months. They're relatively new, and obviously, we wait till we get a regular scheduled CRA meeting to bring this information to this board. I don't know that I disagree with the consensus that's running here, that I don't know that we should fire sale this piece of property. But you have to understand that we have a fiduciary responsibility to bring these to you so that you can kind of change direction if you care to. One of the things that we don't want to do to these developers is to make them spend time and money and your effort with doing a presentation if it's not something that we want to entertain. So just giving us just a nod that that's not what we want to do just yet is really all we need, and really that, we'll pick it up from there. We can have this conversation with the two proposals that were, or the letters of intent that were given to us, and see if they want to change up their plan a little bit. One of the things that we did talk with them was doing commercial and residential combination, which may fit in, but we really didn't get any interest on that end. This is not low-income housing. This is apartments that would be consistent with what we're building on the 4 acres north of here. So again, this is just to get a consensus of if you want us to pursue this, that's all.
Any other comments or questions? Mr. Sisler?
Just to clarify, I was not advocating making any change now, just saying that I may, in the near future, and a year from now, we may need to readdress that. But at this point, I'm in favor of holding fast to what the original plan was.
And understand, we're on a requirement out of the state to have quarterly meetings with the CRA. So it's not as if we can go for a very long time without having this conversation at any given time.
We have about 4 minutes. Are there any other questions or comments from anybody? Mr. Pauly, anything you need to share with us?
No, sir, I totally appreciate your time and openness in discussing this matter, and I think I have what I need to have a conversation with our broker.
Okay, very good. So ladies and gentlemen, I have 4 minutes to 6, and I'm told that our video technician needs 4 or 5 minutes to transition over to the council meeting. So if we're 1 or 2 minutes late getting started, that is the reason. And the CRA is now adjourned.